My goal is to follow the executive order number 2, or to the best of our ability, while still strongly recommending all other COVID recommendations, from top to bottom, from hand washing to vaccination and anything in between that families decide is best for them. And that's all I'm trying to do. The whole discussion has been EO2 is trying to reinforce Virginia Code parents' rights. And then come in SB 1303, they appear to conflict. And I went to law school long enough to take legal research and writing, so I looked it up. And the case law in Virginia says that if two laws seem to conflict, you must do your best to synthesize them and carry out the original intent or the primary intent of both laws. It's Commonwealth versus Zamiano, if anyone wants to look it up. And that's what's caused me to lose a little bit of sleep, because I don't feel like we're doing a good job synthesizing that and bringing that together. And that's something I think case law and our, legal, I think our legal burden kind of is met when we try to do that. Plus public feedback, plus just seeing other districts having success in doing this, and also reading what their legal advice may have been, the quotes that their lawyers have put out or their board spokespeople have put out about why they've made that decision. And I thought it was worth revisiting, because I don't feel right with the legal. I feel like our burden is met by doing both as directed.
Madam Chair, can I?
Yes.
Clearly I agree with Maureen. Can you help everyone understand, especially those who are concerned about this, the parent opt-out or whatever, you say you're prepared for both. So that means you have a letter ready to go to the parents to say you can opt out. We've got all our mitigation strategies are still in effect. You're ready to have, everybody gets a hand sanitizer bottle on their way into school. I'm joking because it is late, but also curious. Let's help put everybody at risk. Maureen's right. The community's right. I don't believe it. We know it. I don't believe it was, and I would never want it to be the authority of this board, by the way, to have to tell a parent what to do with their child or how to raise their child. I use the analogy today jokingly, but it's like you telling me your child hates bananas, but I force your child to eat a banana every day because I think the banana makes him better, or gives him more power somehow or another. So that being said, and having to really compartmentalize this issue and begin, we need a starting point to move forward. This seems to be it for me. It can be a very phased approach to it. It allows the parents the freedom, maybe tonight to go home, maybe not tonight, it's late, don't wake up your kids. To begin to explain the process of unmasking. We still have a ton of kids who are afraid to unmask. We have to undo the damage we've done already with masks before we can really move these kids forward. So I don't think tomorrow we're gonna find, 30,000 Stafford County students showing up without masks. I think we'd like to see it mitigated, but I do agree. It's time to admit that EO2 and SB 1303 are not in conflict per se, but we have to marry them, and we have to make sure that the intent of the governor with the intent of the law are both, because legally the burden is both.
So if this passes, will we be able to give, or do we have the funds or the availability to give N95 masks to all the staff? Because there's a lot of staff who, we have their survey. It's 78% of them want.
I've got two questions on the table. I'll answer the N95 mask question. Now we actually distributed N95 masks to every staff member at every school on Friday. So that's been done. And that is a part of PPE that our staff has access to. They do have a certain duck bill-like quality to the ones that we purchased, but they are the top of the line option for safety for those who need it and those who want it. To answer Mrs. Halstead's question, no, it's probably not a great idea to to do this in less than, a few hours, because our bus drivers will start waking up in about 4 or 5 hours and hit the road, and, there's a little bit of confusion, and the more time we can give staff on any kind of decision, period, the better. I think that speaks to the governor's lead time, even in trying to give a week to staff to make adjustments. I think that those things are helpful. I'm not saying we need that much time, but any time that we give staff in a gracious move in this type of change would be helpful. And I think we are prepared for this inevitability. I think there's every single person in Stafford County cannot wait till we have a mask-free Stafford County. Every single person.
As a newbie, sorry, go ahead.
But I think, there is some trepidation. I think we have a long road to go in terms of dealing with some of the emotional distress and some of the safety concerns and dealing with some of that. And that's not a super overnight process, as we all know, with our kids and with our adults. So it is going to be a struggle. But I think we've all been conditioned to be prepared for this inevitability at some point.
My preference is to wait till we get that decision. If that decision says the executive order is enforceable, I'll be the first one asking for a meeting. But right now, I think it's a disservice to make a change when we're going to be getting a decision very shortly that could enforce it, could not. And I also share Ms. Randall's angst about not having notice to everyone for a
I'm happy to add a
consideration
later date,
or
a Monday,
discussion
whatever's reasonable.
of this motion. I mean, I wish I had a crystal ball and I know when that decision came out, because, to me, that's it.
Madam Chair, can I ask?
Can I
Yeah.
finish my statement? I promise it won't be much. I mean, it's already tomorrow, so, Last week was a very hard decision for me. Those of you on the board know where I was last summer. I want parent choice. I haven't changed where I personally stand, where my district, a number of people, they're both sides, but my vote was based on the legal advice and the law of the executive order. There's lots of talk, and lots of people are giving us interpretations, but I can tell you I looked at every single word. They're saying it's a recommendation, but what the guidelines say is that we will follow, or the guidelines are recommendations, but what the law says, the Senate Bill 1303, says that we shall adhere to all currently applicable mitigation strategies. So, I'm not trying to give a legal analysis here, but I studied it. I heard what our attorney said, and that was the basis for my vote. I respectfully, advise my colleagues that I will not support a change at this point